Hi everyone, it's Jay here, and today I'm going to review the manga and manhwa I read in September. I read 13 volumes, mostly continuing series that I've already started, but I did start 2 new series, so I will let you know what I thought of those. I started the month by reading Father, I Don't Want This Marriage, volumes 3 and 4. This story follows Juvelian, who gets a second chance at life. In her first life, she's a villainess who's accused of poisoning the princess, and she's faced with such terrifying consequences, she ends her life. But she gets a second chance, and she's determined to live a quiet life in peace. She ends her engagement to Mikhail, and in an attempt to stop her father from ever finding her a suitable suitor, because she certainly doesn't want to find one, she tells him what she wants in a man, and it's practically impossible demands. Her father sees it as a challenge though, and he just wants to see his daughter happy. And that is one of the brilliant things in this manhwa, the misunderstandings. They are hilarious because you can see on the page what each character is thinking, and so you can see how each character misinterprets and comes to different conclusions after hearing the same comment or seeing the same incident. But all this matchmaking or avoidance of it leads to Juvelian and Max making a contract to be in a pretend relationship so her father will stop looking for suitable men for her. But her father knows who Max really is and is categorically against this relationship. It makes for some amusing moments. In volumes 3 and 4, Mikhail makes a reappearance and he is just unhinged, unable to accept that Juvelian doesn't want to be with him. I really enjoyed this whole scene play out because we get a glimpse into how their relationship used to play out. And it's actually quite sad, and his family are not nice. In volume 4, there is a fantastic bit where the present mixes with the previous timeline. We get to see more of Legis, Juvelian's father, in the end, and it really clears some things up. In particular, why he seemed to so quickly change his attitude towards his daughter in the first volume. Volume 4 ended on such a cliffhanger. I need volume 5 now, which luckily comes out in October 2025. My most disappointing read was Dogs Red 2. I don't know if disappointing is the right word, but it has moments where I'm really enjoying it, and then other times I feel like I'm reading it for the sake of it. The story follows Rue, who used to be a figure skater until his mum died in a car crash, and he snaps at a competition. Banned from the figure skating world, he and his sister move to his grandfather's, where he discovers ice hockey. The story is then about him joining the hockey team at a school, which then shuts down. He ends up at a school where the ice hockey team is amazing. So it's a bit of an underdog story with difficult training sequences, and this is the stuff I love. I love grueling training scenes that bring people closer together and push them to their limits. I love an underdog fighting to win, and Rue is very much an underdog here because whilst his skating is fantastic, his ice hockey skills leave a lot to be desired. But something is missing, and I can't quite figure out what it is. The ice hockey matches are fantastic and the artwork is so detailed. I found myself really enjoying those bits, but the rest is slightly lacking. I don't know if it's because I'm not very attached to Rue as a character, or there aren't that many characters I particularly care about yet, except the grandfather. He's awesome. I don't know whether I will be buying the 3rd volume or not, because maybe I just need more time with the characters to get to know them better, or maybe not. When compared to other sports manga out there, I think I'd rather focus on those that have done better, like Haikyuu. If you are enjoying Dogs Red, that's great, and I'm glad you are. The 3rd volume is out in October 2025. I read Nina the Starry Bride, volumes 4 to 8, and 4 and 5 were rereads because it had been so long since I'd read them. Nina went to Galgada as Set's fiancé in order to protect her home country, Fortuna, and in turn Azure. Set has a talent for killing, a powerhouse that can turn the tide of a battle. His past is sickening though, and Nina is determined to prove that he can live a good life and experience love, which is easier said when Azure is not present, but when he turns up in Galgada, pretending to be one of the messengers, her emotions are confused and she struggles throughout all these volumes to know what to do. And this series does that very well. showing how torn she is between the two men and what she perceives is doing the right thing for Fortner. I really feel for her. Normally I have strong feelings about the one true pairing, but in this story I'm really torn, so I'm just going to go along for the ride. It all goes horribly wrong in these volumes. Nina is accused of treason for attempting to kill Set, which didn't happen of course, but someone's scheming means she ends up in a tough prison labour camp in a very cold area. It's an interesting story arc, and we meet a new character who ends up being very interesting. Lots of things happen here, with Nina and Co trying to escape the prison, Set losing it, and then Azur and Set coming face to face. The ending of Volume 8, I really need to pick up Volume 9 and find out what happens. Volume 12 is coming out in paperback October 2025. I read Volume 2 of The 31st Consort. In this series, King Macron needs to get married, and so 31 consorts have to put themselves forwards. Their number marks the date of the month they will spend the day with the king, so consort number 22 will see the king on the 22nd of each month. Felia is number 31. Not at all bothered that she won't see the king often, as there aren't that many 31st of a month. But this changes, and it becomes clear very soon that Felia and the king like each other. This isn't a problem until it becomes clear to the other consorts too. And in this volume we have a new villain, Lady Sabrina, and she is a scheming so-and-so. Some of this volume was very fun because Felia is very good at doing the right thing and voicing her opinions at appropriate moments. She wins people over, and those outside the competition can see just how strong she is as a candidate. Lady Sabrina's dad is hilarious in one of the scenes. It was so funny. I think I preferred the first volume, but it was still a good read, and I will definitely be buying Volume 3, which is coming out in December 2025. I read a BL manga called How to Deal When Your Neighbour is Actually an Amiga. This is the Amiga of the story, Miyanaga, who has worked hard to hide the fact he's an Amiga, and he's the neighbour of Koto, an alpha. One day, Miyanaga is in heat, and Koto offers to help him. Genuinely help him by offering to go to get him heat suppressants instead of Miyanaga going, which could put him in a dangerous situation, and the story goes from there. I have mixed feelings about this manga, because it was okay. Nothing to rave about, but I liked it well enough. It was a bit frustrating at the start because it takes a while before their names are introduced. There were the expected misunderstandings that got cleared up fairly quickly, which I found to be a good thing. It means they're communicating. It was cool having the Amiga look like an alpha and determined to get on with his life, not getting drawn into society's expectations of Amigas. There was an interesting twist with Kota that made me like the story more. I thought this was a one-shot, so I read it thinking that was the end of the story, but I found out there's a Volume 2 coming out in March 2026. I'll see how I feel then, but I will probably pick up the second one just to see how their relationship progresses. I read 2 omnibuses of Skip Beat and I loved them. Ren has some serious PTSD and we learn more about it and his past in these volumes. But there are still plenty of light-hearted moments that had me laughing out loud. Kyoko is very oblivious when it comes to men showing interest in her, which leads to situations where her friendliness is perceived as her flirting back. Poor Ren. He likes her and he's just watching on in horror. The whole situation with Kojima was priceless. I won't say any more, but this is a must read. We also get a continuation of the Heel siblings arc, where Ren and Kyoko are undercover at a film set, pretending to be siblings, whilst Ren plays a violent and dark character. It's all kind of ridiculous, but it makes for excellent character development, and I am enjoying it. If you haven't started this series yet, and you are a fan of shoujo, acting, comedy, or great character development, this series is for you. It is excellent and honestly one of my favourite series. The last manga I read was The Guy She Was Interested In Wasn't a Guy at All. I loved this, and I'm kicking myself for not starting it sooner. The story follows Mitsuki and Aya. They are both really into rock music, and Mitsuki works at her uncle's music shop, dressed completely differently to how she does at school, which is why when Aya enters the shop, she thinks Mitsuki is a male and she falls for him. The volume is all about their interactions and Mitsuki's internal struggle as to whether she should tell Aya the truth. There are so many things I love about this. The art. It's fantastic. The green running throughout is so unique, and it pops up in panels where something key is happening too. For example, Aya's eyes. But it's not just the colour, it's the art itself. Sumiko Arai is a seriously talented artist. It's obvious from the front cover. Look at how the characters have been drawn, the angles as if you're looking up at them. It's flawless, it's wonderfully proportional. Sometimes you get manga or manhwa series where you're enjoying the story, but the art sometimes lets it down, or characters look a little bit 2D as they interact with each other. But this is not the case here. It's all just fantastic, and their facial expressions brilliantly express how the characters are feeling. The story itself is really enjoyable, and you end up rooting for both of them. All the characters in the story have their own personality and motivations. The side characters aren't just cookie cutter characters to help move the plot along. You feel like each of them is their own person. And the music choices are fantastic. I love rock myself, and my favourite band gets a mention in here, so that puts a smile on my face. If you haven't read this yet, I strongly recommend you do, because the art is just top notch. The second volume is out now, and the third volume is out in November. So those are the volumes I read in September 2025. I liked everything I read, but some were miles better than others. If you want to buy any of these, check out sci-fi.com, who always reduce the RRP on manga and manhwa volumes. And if you use the code Jay'sManga, you'll get an extra 5% off. Like, subscribe, and if you have any thoughts or recommendations for me, pop them in the comments below. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.